There she is, Tierra del Fuego.
Aye, and a right storm to go with it. If we hold on much longer, we'll be on a lee shore.
Right, Mr. Tranter. Reef the topsail.
Aye, Captain.
And the t'gallants.
Reef the topsail.
Hold her steady!
Look at those ships turning their guts out.
Cold and the sea's mounting high. We was in the lee of the ship, otherwise we'd have gone.
Only one boat?
Aye, and lucky to get her away.
How many men were lost?
Well, 6 of us were picked up out of 32 men.
It's a fearful place to own.
Too fearful for the insurers. Wouldn't insure her for doubling the horn.
They would. You wouldn't put your hand in your pocket for the extra cost.
How many men did the longboat hold, Mr. Baines?
About a dozen men.
And you carried only one boat for 32 men?
Aye.
Surely provision
it's
ought
not
to
the
be
owner's business to provide for every eventuality.
Vampire was the first ship I ever had command of, sir, and I lost her.
Master's paid to make decisions. Some right, some wrong. Nobody to appeal to but himself and the Almighty.
You're not the first captain to lose his ship, and you won't be the last.
If only I'd not tried to carry so much canvas. If I'd have kept off the shore.
Look, no more ifs and buts, man. You were caught in the Cape Horn, and from that there's no appeal.
It's enough that you're safe, Mr. Baines. We still have the Charlotte roads.
Aye, now I want her cleared tomorrow for the Isle of Man with a load of bricks and salt. You can come back with a cargo of Manx muttons. Here's your papers.
You'll give me command again, sir?
I want a fast passage and a quick profit. She'll use the money to charter the Star of Bethlehem. She's a fully rigged ship, open to offers. I intend to load her with coal for the West Indies and come back with sugar, rum, molasses and coffee.
How can I thank you, sir?
You don't. You're the hardest driver mate I know. I want you to sign with me as mate of the Star of Bethlehem. Now, when you come back with the Charlotte roads, you can pick your own crew, hardest, roughest lot that you can find. Work them until they drop and leave the money.
Oh?
While you were away, Mr. Callon seized control of the Oneida Line Steamship Company.
Aye, bought a sack full of shares through nominees.
And ousted him as chairman.
With Fogarty as his right-hand man.
You're a smart head on his shoulders, that young fellow.
And he owes me a fund of ill will. Heaven knows why.
Well, before I sailed on the Pampero, I thought everything was cut and dried. You were going to build a steamship.
He was.
And still am. I floated that company with a nominal capital of £100,000, half paid up, half on call. You see, You paid 10 shillings for a £1 share. Albert Fraser, Robert and myself, we bought 45,000.
Well, I've got two, but I'm bound to lose my money.
Then Mr. Callon stepped in and secretly bought 48,000.
Yes, and became principal shareholder in his unneeded line.
You see, his 48 can outvote my 45, but there still remains another 7% in the hands of other shareholders. Now, if I can lay my hands on another 6%, we can oust Callon, and that unneeded line will be ours again.
If.
Well, 10 shillings for a £1 share, that seems like good business.
Not if the unsubscribed capital can be called up by Callon and his pet board of directors.
It means, Mr. Baines, that we might have to find another £22,500 any time Mr. Callon decides.
20 years got 22.5 pence.
Unless I can lay my hands on another 6%. You see the urgency?
You can rely on me, sir. You'll get your fast voyage if every man aboard has to eat and sleep aloft. I'll not fail twice. And the new ship, the steamer, you will build her.
Well, building her's Albert Fraser's job. Mine's finding the money.
Taller mass, Mr. Fraser, and spars to carry a good spread of canvas.
Can't you get it through your wits that she's not designed to carry sail?
And a bowsprit.
Bowsprit? The engines will drive her into the first head sea she meets, and your damn bowsprit will be so much matchwood.
No Callon sailing master worth his salts would consider driving his ship into a head sea. Under such conditions, he would douse his fires and use his sails to pay her off.
Then you and Callon should stick to sail and leave steamers to steamship men. If James were chairman of this company, she'd be built without provision for so much as a shred of canvas.
But James O'Needin is not chairman, Mr. Callon is. And the shareholders have backed Mr. Callon's decision to build her to carry sails.
Should be unstable, too much top hamper.
Let me remind you, Mr. Fraser, that you're bound to carry out the wishes of the shareholders.
Callon's wishes, you mean? He's terrified that this ship will be built to my specification.
Well, it's enough to terrify any man who ever set foot aboard a ship. Look at it. It's ugly, clumsy, got as much freeboard as a frying pan. She'll be stiff, slow in answering the helm. She'll wallow and yaw, and the first following seal pooper.
Not with a 3,000 horsepower engine to push her along, she won't.
Engine of that size shake the ship to pieces.
Understand me clearly, Fogarty. This ship will be built to my specifications, or not at all.
Very well, Mr. Fraser. I shall convey your views to Mr. Callon.
Don't trouble. I'll tell him myself.
Pay off and stay off. There's no other way of bringing these rapacious owners to heel. Hit them in their pockets, where it hurts. Withdraw your labor.
And starve? While clodhoppers and scrag-ends sail the ships? The tripping-houses would have a right royal time.
Once you sign articles, you're at the mercy of every snot-nosed master, every bucko mate whose notion of discipline is to break your head.
Right, lad.
You all well know that once you sign articles, you cannot combine. You cannot even complain without being accused of mutiny.
Right, lad. Go on.
We have no choice, brothers. We make our stand here, on the dockside, and strike for liberty and a new charter for seamen.
The owners have long pockets, long memories, and the law on their side.
That's right, lad.
My brother, friends. My brother sailed under the Oneidan flag aboard the Pampero, and she went down off the Horn, taking 26 men with her. 26. And my brother was one of them. And what provisions did Oneidan make, eh? None. And who took to the boats, my brother? Oh, no. The master and mate, and only 4. And only 4 others.
End the American Civil War! End the American Civil War! No more slavery!
Cotton will be coming back. The mills will open. Work for all.
The end of the American war. And all that means is more profits for the owners and more misery for sailors. Listen to them. Listen to them, ringing out the bells for the end of Negro slavery and the whip. But I say, let them look nearer to home.
Big mouth! The last time I listened to you, I was denied work for 3 months.
That scum! What the devil? James O'Neill's brother?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I need no help from no murdering O'Neills.
Why, Robert? As usual. Couldn't mind his own business.
Look, I saw this poor chap being set upon.
Poor chap, indeed. Jessop is a well-known agitator. They were giving him no more than he deserved.
Jessop. Still, a man has a right to air an opinion, Sarah.
And it's a man's duty to fit himself for his proper station in life.
Right, now, Anne, well, what can we do for you, eh? Have a nice bit of bacon here. Smoked, only 5p the pound.
Oh, a little beyond my purse, I'm afraid.
Anne, I'm sure you won't mind my mentioning the matter, but your account now stands at £7.16 and 8p halfpenny.
Now, come on, Sarah. And his family. Times are hard.
But accounts must be paid.
I'm sorry, Sarah. I must just ask you to extend our credit a little further. At the moment, we don't have a penny in the house.
Oh, I do not pretend to understand it. James owns £20,000 worth of Anedian shares, and yet you say he can't afford to settle up a few pounds.
Sarah, I have explained.
Oh, James could always go you, Robert, my dear.
Perfectly simple. If James attempts to sell any of his shares, Mr. Callon will snap them up and effectively own the Onedin line.
And in the meantime?
In the meantime, Sarah, Anne has all the credit that she requires. I ask only one thing in return, Anne.
What's that?
That you persuade James not to try to make my fortune. Not ever again.
Oh, where the devil is he?
I've told you, James. Albert is discussing business with Mr. Callon at his warehouse.
Well, I want to see him. I want to see him now.
Albert was right. We are alike, you and I. We're like father. We think only of what we want, and the devil take everyone else.
What do you want, Elizabeth, eh?
Don't you know?
Seems to me you've got everything that a woman could possibly want. Fine home, good husband.
A son? And if you'd not interfered, I'd have married his father.
Interfere? But it was I that urged you to marry Daniel Fogarty when I heard you was bearing his child.
Ordered me to marry him, and I'll not have my life ordered for me anymore by my brother, my husband, or anyone else.
Albert's right. We are alike.
Why do you want to see Albert?
Well, now that the Americans have finished killing one another, all of their eastern seaboard's open to shipping again.
Well, why the urgency?
Well, we've got to seize our opportunity now while the other owners are fighting like cats in a sack.
What opportunity?
For trade, girl, for trade.
Look.
Oh, my God. That's Callon's warehouse.
Come on there, quickly! Come over those buckets! Come on, you hard! Here, let me get you! Down that pipe like the devil was behind you! Let me give you a hand! Come on down! Hey, get out of the way! Come in!
Anybody in there?
No one's come out! Look out, sir! Hey, Tarzan! Go on, sir. Ready, Crippy? Put it tight. Take that jump, sir. Right, now get it up, Jake. Crippy, come on, pick it up. Stretch it out. Now you, sir.
son Edward. We must save them. No, Albert. There's nothing you can do for them.
Well, Daniel, if I am to inherit the Callon shipping line, the sooner I learn something of its ramifications, the better. But I can see I shall need to rely upon your judgment in these matters. You will not refuse me.
Anything in my power, Miss Callon.
Good. Then perhaps you can explain to me, for I have a poor head for financial matters, how it is that my late uncle, a shrewd businessman, seems to show such small profits from his many ventures.
Well, Mr. Callon calculated to make 15 to 20% profit per voyage, Miss Emma. Now, with a fleet of 26 ships, that should be enough return for anyone.
But there seems to be so little cash in hand.
Well, it was always Mr. Callon's policy to reinvest his profits as quickly as possible. Money, Miss Emma, is of little use in itself. It must be made to work. Those are the company accounts. Now, it's not my place to reflect upon the size of Mr. Callon's private fortune, but his assets in shipping alone must be in excess of £100,000.
And how do I draw upon this money?
For private use? No, I would advise against that. That money is working capital. Crews have to be fed and paid, harbour dues, pilotage, dock fees, fresh stores to be put on board, vessels in need of overhaul and re-rigging, shore staff to be paid.
I understand. It seems I am to have the smell, but not the touch of money. Perhaps I should look for an equally wealthy suitor.
Well, if you don't take care, fortune hunters will be buzzing around you like bees around a honeypot. What you require is a man who will put your own interest above all else.
And where would I find such a paragon?
Well, if you're determined upon seeking someone of similar estate and social standing as yourself, I can only propose...
Propose? Oh, my dear Daniel.
No, I only meant to say...
You must not drive me too far, Daniel. Why to propose and then immediately to retract? You were about to retract, were you not?
No, I meant...
You would not consider yourself a fortune hunter?
Certainly not.
Then I really must consider where my best interests lie. Mustn't I?
What do you think of her?
She's a beautiful ship.
And she's better sailing qualities than the Pampero. Come aboard. Let's have a look at her fittings.
You should have a pleasant voyage.
Comfortable enough.
James, about Captain Baines. If he's to be mate, it's a step down for him.
Look, if our sailor's master, I don't pay myself.
Won't he feel resentful?
If he does, he can put it to good use. Make the crew work that much the harder.
But it looks as though you no longer trust him.
Oh, look, I trust Baines as a seaman, but those West Indian planters, they're sharp. I intend to extract every ounce of profit from this voyage. I think you should sail with me.
Of course, James. But why the sudden change of heart?
Save 7 shillings a week on that infernal basement.
Keep a good cheese, Robert.
Any more?
Oh, very good cheese. I'll have 2 pounds of the Lancashire. Oh, and a dozen of your best claret.
You'll have no such thing, Father. You'll leave the housekeeping entirely to me. Here you are, Robert.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jessop.
But I pay off at £1 a week, regular.
And then take 9p of the goods out with you. And during the week, one of the children comes in and gets another 6p. You're getting deeper and deeper into debt, Mrs. Jessop.
I'm in work, she pays off every penny, and well you know it, missus.
We have bills to meet as well, you know.
Aye, and a regular source of income from the likes of us.
You're at liberty to take your custom elsewhere, Mr. Jessop.
Yes, once the account is settled, no doubt.
Naturally. We are not a benevolent society.
Come on, Ellen. We'll get no satisfaction here. Oh.
I didn't come here for satisfaction. I came for bread for the children. And you don't help by ranting on to Mrs. O'Needin. Please, Mrs. O'Needin, if you could see your way, just for another week.
Oh, don't beg, woman.
If you don't get work soon, we shall all be beggars.
I'll find a ship soon enough.
Look, Mrs. Jessop, as soon as your husband signs articles, you bring your allotment note straight here. Then we'll clear the account and start afresh.
O'Needin shops, O'Needin ships, and O'Needin no crackers. Well, what chance do we have, eh? Come on, Ellen. We'll manage.
Mr. Jessop.
Yeah?
The Star of Bethlehem will be signing articles this afternoon. Perhaps if I were to have a word with my husband on your behalf.
Another Oneidin. Well, before I sign on another Oneidin ship, I'd starve.
You mean your wife and children would? It's a poor sort of man who puts principles before family.
Sanctimonious claptrap, missus. Well, who keeps us down, eh? So they must put family before common justice.
Don't eat him, missus. He'll talk different with regular wages.
I will speak to my husband.
God bless you, missus.
I want foretopman, main top, and mizzen topman. I want a bosun, carpenter, sailmaker, and a land trimmer. No, I don't want scrimch anchors, sea lawyers, deadbeats, and barnacles. I want seamen, Western Ocean men, not flying fish sailors. All right, Jackson, we'll have you. Aren't you? Clay? And what's your name? Fletcher. Fletcher, right. All right, Richard. And listen. Make your mark quickly and go.
My compliments to Miss Callon. Tell her I shall be delighted to accept her kind
anybody,
invitation.
sailmaker or land
You
trimmer?
remember that?
Mr. Baines.
All right, what's the delay, Mr. Baines?
Well, we need a sailmaker and a land trimmer, sir. This is the only one available, and he's a troublemaker.
Jessop, isn't it?
Sir.
Well, you've handled trouble before, haven't you, Mr. Baines?
Yes, but
Well,
I'd
get
rather...
him signed on. We've wasted enough time as it is. I've got an appointment ashore, right?
Aye, sir.
Well, Miss Callon, may I present Mr. James Oneidin and Mr. Albert Fraser?
So kind of you to call at such short notice, Mr. Oneidin. I'm delighted to make your acquaintance, Mr. Fraser.
If that is true, Miss Callon, then my pleasure in your company is more than doubled.
I've asked you gentlemen here in the hope that we may come to an amicable agreement. My uncle's untimely death.
Ah, you have our commiserations, Miss Callon.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser.
Miss Callon, your note suggested that a conversation between us might be to our mutual benefit.
I'm afraid my poor uncle left his affairs in some disorder, Mr. Oneidin. However, Mr. Fogarty, who is my advisor in these matters, has drawn my attention to the fact that I now appear to be a principal shareholder in your company, gentlemen.
You are referring to the Oneidin Line Steamship Company Limited.
That is so.
How many shares do you hold, Fogarty?
10.
That's a poor reward for such devoted service, wouldn't you say? I would dispose of them if I were you.
Why?
Because if your financial advisor has his way, I doubt that any of her shares will be worth the paper they're written on.
And you would advise me to sell?
Indeed, I would.
To whom?
We are prepared to buy back your shares at par.
You will buy back my poor, worthless shares at face value? Why, a rare act of generosity, sir. One that gives a lie to the rumor that no one strikes a bargain with James Oneidin without having the worst of it.
Miss Callon, either we come to an accommodation here and now, or we shall all be the losers.
Oh.
The issue is quite simple. Either you accept Mr. Fraser's design here, or you don't. Now, if you do, it'll pay you to back us to the Hilton. If you don't, common prudence should advise you to withdraw.
The value of your shares will be paid in full.
By whom?
Are you doubting me credit, Fogarty?
You spoke of an accommodation, Mr. Oneidin. What had you in mind?
Well, you inherited from Mr. Callon a 48% holding in the company. My partners and myself, we hold 45%. Now, with the death of your uncle, the company now lacks a chairman, and with all due respect, Miss Callon, the likelihood of a woman being elected to that office is very slim indeed.
Mr. Fogarty has agreed to accept nomination on my behalf.
Oh, aye.
You'll be throwing good money after bad. Fogarty as chairman, my steamship will never get off the stocks.
Oh, it will, but with certain design modifications.
Never.
Approved by the shareholders. With 3 masts, a full suit of sails, and a raised superstructure, she'll provide accommodation for 70 first-class passengers.
You'd turn her into a passenger ship?
Aye, and make her pay.
The Golden Nugget was designed as a cargo ship, and cargo she shall carry.
Now, you know as well as I do, Mr. Fraser, she'll never show a profit on cargo alone.
This one will.
Mr. Fogarty knows well enough where the profit lies, Miss Callon, in cargo ships that can run to a timetable. After that, just a simple matter of bookkeeping.
Mr. Fogarty has my full confidence, Mr. Oneidin.
Well, of course, if you want to throw away another £24,000 of your money on the furtherance of this man's career, that's your affair. A good day to you, Mr. Fogarty.
Miss Callon?
I'm inclined to agree with your assessment of Mr. Oneidin's character. He is a man of purpose. Mr. Fraser. Why, he's quite the pretty little man.
Aye, and married to a pretty little wife.
And a 3-year-old son, I believe.
It's been burning a hole in my pocket for many a long day.
Indeed.
Marry me, Emma.
Would have preferred a prettier proposal. Dear Daniel, what an unromantic fellow you are.
Callon's a greedy little miss. She wants the bread buttered on both sides.
You do realize that if she marries Fogarty, he will be Callon and Company?
A situation to be avoided.
Indeed. He's a thorn in our sides as it is.
Fogarty's a man of jealous disposition and evil-tempered. Now, as I read Miss Callon, she's not averse to little flirtation. Should be simple to cause a little rift between them.
You mean that I should?
James.
Albert seems quite his old self again. He's been such a gloomy ghost these days.
Oh?
He spends night after night working on plans for that confounded golden nugget.
Well, it's quite understandable. His whole life's wrapped up in that ship.
To the exclusion of all else.
You must learn to encourage, not carp, Elizabeth.
Sometimes I think I married the wrong man.
Elizabeth.
Well, after all, Daniel Fogarty is the father of my child.
Look, there she is, the Star of Bethlehem. Isn't she beautiful?
Southwest point, hove our ship to for to take soundings clear. In 55 fathoms with a fine
Raise those halyards! Get to it there! Lively now, lively!
We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll rave across the salt sea, till we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ashton to Scilly is 34 leagues.
Let every man here drink up his full bumper, let every man here drink up his full bowl, and let us be jolly and drown melancholy. Drink a health to each jovial and true-hearted soul.
We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll rave across the salt sea, till we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ashant to Scilly is 30-40.
Have you nearly finished, Albert?
Almost.
I'm so hungry.
Fogarty now has the impudence to keep me waiting in my own office.
Now, Albert, the exercise of restraint is the best way to deal with a man of Mr. Fogarty's temperament.
Mrs. Fraser? Mr. Fraser? Your servant, ma'am.
I can spare you but a moment, Mr. Fogarty. My wife is rather fatigued. We're about to make our way home.
I trust you've carried out your instructions following our last discussion.
Instructions, sir?
I am but an officer of the company, as are you, Mr. Fraser. It is our duty to acquiesce to the directives of the board.
I do not require you, sir, to instruct me upon my duties.
Three masts, yards and sails.
I trust you've explained to your fellow directors, Mr. Fogarty, that this will alter the stability of the ship.
Then you must make the necessary corrections, Mr. Fraser, as you are the designer.
And that'll take time, Mr. Fogarty. You see, I must first draw up fresh specifications showing the precise curvature of the ship's hull at every foot of immersion. And that cannot be accomplished in 5 minutes.
I suggest you start work immediately.
In this office, Mr. Fogarty, I decide the work schedules. Good night to you.
I've not yet had the privilege of making Miss Callon's acquaintance, Mr. Fogarty. Perhaps you and she would care to dine with us one evening?
Thank you, Mrs. Fraser. I shall convey your kind invitation to Miss Callon. Good night.
I will not permit that man to set foot in my house.
And thereby bray your problems from the housetops. We must learn to use guile, my love. Guile.
To what end?
To build your steamship, my precious.
Times is hard and the wages low. Lever, Johnny, lever. We be biscuits and we'll go. Lever, Johnny, lever. 2 bob a day is all I'll pay. Lever, Johnny, lever. Times is hard and the wages low. Lever, Johnny, lever. We be biscuits and we'll go. Lever, Johnny, lever. 2 bob a day is all I'll pay. Lever, Johnny, lever. Times is hard and the wages low. Lever, Johnny, lever. We be biscuits and we'll go. Lever, Johnny, lever. 2 bob a day is all I'll pay. Lever, Johnny, lever. Come for night and work for day. Lever, Johnny, lever. Times is hard and the wages low. Lever, Johnny.
I'll soon have him singing a different tune, sir. Bosun! Roust him up there!
2 bob a day is all I'll pay.
Johnny Lever.
Not right. You just can't call a shareholders' meeting, not at such short notice.
It is necessary. A company can no more operate without a chairman than a ship without a rudder.
Yes, but...
Please sit down, Robert. You're incommoding the lady.
I beg your pardon. But I still maintain that it's taking an unfair advantage. James is also a principal shareholder. And to call a meeting in his absence, well, it smacks of sharp practice.
Your brother's interests are in safe hands. Albert Fraser holds his proxy votes. Now, Miss Callon has done me the honour of putting forward my name as nominee for chairman. If, however, you and Mr. Fraser wish to oppose me, you're quite free to do so.
But we would prefer to be assured of your support.
You are a founder member and have a seat on the board.
I'm sure the rest of the shareholders will support Mr. Fogarty.
But your 5% would clinch the matter.
And secure your position on the board as a sinecure.
A sinecure that'd last no longer than it takes James to set foot ashore. No, thank you. Miss Callon, you are offering me nothing more than I already possess. I have a seat on the board. And what value is it? A small director's fee and a fine-sounding title.
The value of your favour would not go unrecognised.
Miss Callon is generously prepared to make over to you 100 shares of Callon's stock.
Miss Callon's generosity is only outmatched by her business acumen. No, thank you.
I see these shares today are quoted at 170 shillings.
I think I would have preferred a long-term investment, say 2,000 on Needing Line.
I think you overrate your value, Robert.
And I think you underestimate Albert Fraser's opposition. Albert will give you a close run for your money.
You prefer a Needing Line shares to mine? Why, that certainly indicates commendable faith in Mr. Fogarty's abilities as chairman.
Without my proxy votes, Miss Callon, Mr. Fogarty won't be chairman.
I think 1,000 Needing Line shares should be a sound enough investment for us both.
On the other hand, 1,500 is a mere drop in the bucket compared to your 48,000.
Then we're agreed. 1,500 on Needing Line shares in exchange for your proxies.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
When I shipped aboard the Ariel under Captain Delano, we were on the China tea run. But we fed full and plenty. We had as an entitlement £1.5 of beef per man every other day, and in between days, £1.25 of good pork. And in addition, on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, £0.5 pound of flour and ¼ pint of peas.
Always did feed well, them China boats. They had to, because they worked you like dogs.
Yeah, we work like dogs here and feed off the slops.
Can't expect cabin fare in the forecastle, can you?
Well, why not? Aren't we better than any officer that was ever born of woman, eh?
I've known worse.
There's worse, no doubt about that. There are plenty worse. I saw 3 men carried ashore from a Challenger ship in Liverpool. Malnutrition, they called it. I just called it plain starvation.
I was poisoned with bad flesh meat.
Well, I've yet to see an officer carried ashore dying of hunger.
No use belly aching. Once we've signed articles, we've got to take what we're given.
Not for much longer. With a union. That's right, with a union. No man stands alone.
You try telling that to Mr. Baines. He'll soon teach you different.
Aye, with Belaine pin soup and the saltwater shroud.
Like my brother. That's all the reward he got on the Pampero. Another cursed own-eating ship.
Union means combining together. If you combine on board ship, they call it mutiny and put you up in front of a magistrate.
That's why we combine ashore. We hit the owners where it hurts most. In their pockets.
They got longer linings to their pockets than us.
Aye, they'd starve us out.
Oh, not us. We're used to going hungry. But the owners are not. They can't afford to have their ships tied up. They want their profits. Well, we'll starve them of their profits. And then we'll see who gives in first.
Watch below! Turn out and tab to!
What does he want now?
Oh, a bit of midnight deck scrubbing.
Jessop!
Jessop!
Are you deaf, Jessop?
I signed articles as sailmaker, sir. The sailmaker does not stay and watch.
Disobeyed a lawful command.
I stand on custom and practice, sir.
Custom and practice? Oh, we've got a sea lawyer here. Well, I understand a bit of sea law myself. Let's see now, you signed on as sailmaker and lamp trimmer, eh? Well, trim the lamps, Jessop.
I attended to every lamp just before sunset, sir.
Well, then you attend to them again and again. I want every lamp aboard the ship trimmed above and below decks. Safety of the ship, Jessop. Now, there's an article of sea law for you to chew over.
Aye, aye, sir. Safety of the ship, sir.
Give Albert's steam launch a run for its money at this rate. Baines has her reeling off the knots.
Mr. Baines is very conscious of having your eye continually on him, James.
Good. It's a poor mate who isn't aware of his captain's presence.
He seems to be behaving in an unduly harsh manner.
Well, having lost one ship, no doubt he's not very anxious to lose another.
Here's this crew jumping around like a squad of soldiers.
Exactly. Captain Baines is learning the art of command. What is it?
Is building Albert's steamship so important to you, James?
Yes, it is.
You're sure you're not putting too high a price on it?
I formed that company and intend to regain control of it.
You cared nothing for steamships once. Now you'll risk everything to build one.
Very little to risk, but everything to gain. If Albert's steamship can do half of what he claims, it'll be worth the struggle.
Worth the suffering of a tired crew, afraid to look over their shoulders for fear of Mr. Baines.
You can't take into account every little hardship, not where progress is concerned. Here, do you realise how many Irish labourers died building the railways? Thousands.
I thought I was beginning to understand you, James. But I never took you for a man who'd risk men's lives to satisfy his purpose.
And stop trying to be my conscience. Yeah, trust me. If you don't, all this is for nothing.
Watch your heading there. Hold her steady.
I can't hold her, sir. The wind's shifting.
Stand by to come about. All hands to worship. Lively now, jump to it. Come on hard to weather the helm.
doing?
Keeping a journal.
Are you blaming Mr. Baines for poor Popey's death? No. Who then?
Well, Baines drives us. But who drives Baines?
And I have carried out diligent inquiries and satisfied myself that no blame attaches to the deck officer, Mr. Baines. Sign that.
I should have remembered those two over the sides.
The safety of the ship comes before all other considerations. I'd have done exactly the same as you. If he had made full speed when the wind changed, we'd have found it on them rocks. Pope lost his life because he wasn't holding on. All right, Baines. The deck's yours.
Aye, aye, sir.
Diligent inquiries, James?
I was there. I saw it happen. I'm satisfied.
I doubt the crew think the same.
Crew are not paid to hold opinions. Any man that goes to sea takes his own life in his hands.
Or your hands.
Only one man can give orders aboard a ship. The rest must obey. There's an end to it.